And so now we are ready to go to Facebook Live. So good morning to our Facebook Live community that is joining us. We are continuing our monthly theme, Cosmic Connections. And our talk for this morning is Bridge Over Troubled Waters. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're in that semi-awake and semi-sleep state? You're not quite awake and you're not quite at that sleeping point? Well, I found myself there a couple of days ago. And I have to attribute it to Spirit just working with me as I was thinking about and contemplating how I would put together this talk, Bridge Over Troubled Waters. And so the image that came to my mind was an actual bridge. And I was standing at the base of the bridge, and this bridge took me over all of the current events. I glided over the political divide, the current events, the upcoming election, the Supreme Court hearings, the racial divisions that are gripping our country, the inequity, the financial condition of the country, all of those issues, all of that stuff that moves me to a place of sensory overload. Have you ever been in that place where there's a sensory overload and you're asking, how can I make it one more step of the way? And so this bridge became actually the lifeline that I was seeking, because at the other end of the bridge was perfect peace and bliss and joy and beauty and happiness. And then becoming more alert, I realized that this imaginary bridge represented for me the desire to escape those difficult emotions and move away from feelings of discomfort. And then I remembered how easy it is to be so spiritual that I engage in techniques of spiritual bypass rather than being with the discomfort, being in that place of going to what it is that I know and really asking myself, do I believe what it is that I say that I know? And so I immediately got up from this semi-state of awareness and went to the computer so that I could capture this realization in order to integrate it into today's talk. You know, it's often suggested that we keep a notepad by our bed so that when these spirit downloads hit, we can jot down the notes. Well, I can't write fast as my brain is going, so that's why I got up and went to the computer. And so I just offer a brief little recap of last week so that we can keep all of this connected. We focused on being inextricably connected or inseparable from God, remembering that each one of us is a reflection of the divine, created in the image of a cosmic mirror that is reflecting itself back to us. A cosmic mirror that is reflecting itself back to us. In this reflection, we identified 3 practices allowing us to release the barriers that prevent us from feeling connected. And the first practice is to remember that God is where we are. God is who we are, no matter what. No matter what is going on, God is who I am, who we are, and where we are, no matter what. The second connector point is through knowing our spiritual identity, we remember that we are one with the divine, and we realize that we are never alone. We are never alone. And then our third point was staying open to this connection, this divine cosmic connection. And so today we continue the conversation of cosmic connection by realizing that forgiveness is healing. Forgiveness is the foundation for the bridge over troubled waters. In doing some research, I discovered that there are many cultures that practice healing and forgiveness work together in community. The healing is both personal and for the healing of the community. It takes place simultaneously. Another indicator that there are no separations and there are no divisions in spirit. The healing practice in forgiving, in the forgiveness healing practice in community allows for the realization that each one is equipped to build bridges of unconditional acceptance for ourselves and for one another. And if we look at this from a science of mind point of view, I'm going to offer a backdrop, and then I'm going to invite you to just contemplate 3 challenge questions that emerge out of this backdrop. In our Declaration of Principles, Dr. Holmes writes, "We believe the ultimate goal of life is to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all." I remind us, however, to recognize that this ultimate goal of life is not a spiritual destination where everything remains static and inactive. It is the starting point for future evolution. So our questions are, do we really believe that this goal is attainable? And if so, in what ways are we practicing it in our daily lives? What ways are we practicing it in our connections? The second question, is this goal the origin for creating a bridge over troubled waters? And our third question, and I think this is the clincher, is this statement or vision from Ernest Holmes something that we accept as being good students and practitioners of science of mind because it has a nice, warm, fuzzy feel to it? Let's be honest. Are these principles that are taught by Dr. Holmes something that we truly embrace and recognize the transforming value of life? Or do they become platitudes that we speak, engaging in a form of spiritual bypass? Let's take a little closer look at forgiveness. Forgiveness is to give as before. Give as before. And so as we sit privately or we sit in community, I'm going to use the example that Mark Nepo, one of my favorite poets and authors, offers. These are questions to consider. Is there an area in my life where I withhold caring and love for myself that is blocking my bridge of compassion? These are all inner questions that we are asking. Is there an area in my life where I withhold love and caring for myself? Is there something in my life that is calling for self-forgiveness or recognizing a limiting belief that keeps me stuck? What could happen if I set aside real or imagined injury and behave as I did before the event? Remember our definition of forgiveness. It is to give as before. What would happen if I were to return to love that was the original source of this connection? And when I was considering this question, I have a wonderful book by Marianne Williamson, and I believe many of you may have it also. It's titled A Return to Love. And I literally turned to look at my bookcase because I was going to go and get the book. I know exactly where it is on the bookcase. And when I turned, there were empty shelves and boxes of boxed books. And so I had to say to myself, okay, let go of that. It will surface at the appropriate time when it is needed. It's interesting how Spirit will take me in a different direction. And it's like, okay, the seed is planted. I know the book is there. Let go and move on. And so the next question as we sit and contemplate forgiveness is to give as before, is we ask, would I be willing to listen and to hear what is said with an open mind and an open heart? And I think this is the key. Am I willing to sit and listen with an open mind and an open heart? What is the worst thing that could happen? Or, and I think this is really the question of the hour, how much better could it get? How much better could it get if I were to move to that place of giving as before, letting go of all of this minutia that has gotten in the way of me truly loving myself so that I can love everyone else? Engaging in forgiveness is a practice that allows us to make a deposit into the collective consciousness, which raises the ability of the entire community to do its transformative work. Forgiveness is an inside job. And if you've been around Science of Mind for any length of time, you know this phrase. We say it quite often: forgiveness is an inside job. And the basis for that is our spiritual practices encourage us to seek self-forgiveness and to seek self-healing. Our inside work requires us to consider how we love and value ourselves in the here and now. Even though our life will always include a constant stream of mistakes, and for our religious science puritists, I am using the word mistakes intentionally. What if, just what if, our so-called mistakes are not mistakes at all? What if, just be with me, be willing to entertain, be willing to play with me a little bit. What if these so-called mistakes are merely points along life's journey that are showing us the way to become a version of ourselves that we can truly love and value? And notice that I did not say become a better version of ourselves, because as we are right here and right now, we are whole, perfect, and complete in the mind of God. And so the mistakes, the errors in judgment that we make, whatever it is that we find ourselves guilting ourselves for doing, what if? These are just little points along the way, little breadcrumbs, if you will, along this journey called life, that is allowing us to become a version of ourselves that we really love and value. And then I love this statement from Dr. Holmes. It's in the book, Help for Today. And it really resonated with me because it outlined and identified continual work that I am to do in my own forgiveness journey. Dr. Holmes writes, forgiveness means reconciliation in spite of estrangement. Reconciliation in spite of estrangement. It means reunion despite hostility. It means acceptance of those who have been unacceptable. It means reception of those who are rejected. Forgiveness is unconditional, or it is not forgiveness at all. And these points: reconciliation in spite of estrangement, reunion despite hostility, acceptance of those who have been acceptable. These are all acts of unconditional forgiveness. And if I cannot be in that place, then I have not forgiven at all. And so this is my personal challenge. And if any of this resonates true for you, I invite you to consider it. And the good news, love can build a bridge. When I practice compassion with myself, I am better able to practice compassion with the other. And of course, we know there is no other. We are each a reflection of our infinite self. And this has been the theme of this idea of cosmic connection for the month of October. We are each a reflection of the infinite self. And so this power of compassion and self-love is a part of a greater consciousness, a power in the universe that each of us can use. And it increases its potency when a community comes together to share its strengths. And even though in this time of COVID-19, we are encouraged to practice social distancing and to wear a mask for the protection of others, we can still come together in community. And I want you to engage with me, if you will, in a little practice. Just raise your hands where you are and face the back of your hand outward, towards the edges of your screen. And allow this to be a virtual point of contact, that we are in community with each other. And together we are sharing the strength of love, of compassion, of beauty, of joy, the strength of knowing who we are as reflections of the cosmic consciousness and the oneness of God. Situations are happening in the world right now that can use a little bit more love, a little bit more compassion. And we, as a spiritual community, can build that bridge and share our sense of unity, our sense of kindness, and our conviction of love. And for those of you who were with us last Sunday, we rode the love train along with the OJs. And the lyrics to this recording were released in December of 1972. And I believe, if I did the correct count on my fingers, that is about 48 years ago. Some math expert verify that for me real quick. Anyway, it is a melody, it is a message that has been with us for quite some time. And the lyrics to this recording are a call for unity and world peace. And the love train mentioned the following countries: England, Russia, China, Egypt, Israel, and Africa. And I believe today that we can extend the route of the love train to include the entire planet. And we do this by expressing a consciousness of love. We build a bridge of compassion. We build a bridge of forgiveness. We build a bridge of beauty and joy and excellence and opulence in everything that we do. In our call to action this morning, in many of our centers for spiritual living around the world, we come together and sing the words to the peace song, proclaiming, "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me." Today, the invitation, the call to action, is for each of us to resolve to do our inner work so that we might lift the collective consciousness of our spiritual family, that of our local community, and the consciousness of the entire planet. Let us build a bridge to bring compassion and kindness so that we may all enjoy peace and freedom from all discord of every nature. We can make a big difference. We can make a big difference to our well-being by learning to be kind and encouraging to ourselves. Remember, this is an inner job. We are called to do our inner work. I invite you now to look up, literally look up. If it is comfortable for you, just follow the wall that is in front of you up to where it connects with the ceiling. And in looking up, recognize that it is our higher self that is filled with loving kindness. We have the divine opportunity to practice this every moment of the day. We remember that we have a good friend that is within us and that love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time that we learn the trick of accepting love from ourselves and reflecting it out into our planet? Let us pray together. I offer this prayer as a lead-in to our spiritual mind treatment for the morning. And some of you may be familiar with it. It is called the Metta Prayer, also the prayer of loving kindness. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings awaken to the light of their true nature. May all beings be free. And in this place of freedom, we know that it is a connecting point to the one life, the one power, and the one presence that is absolutely all that there is. And that each one is a divine connection, an inlet and an outlet into this divine creative presence. And so it is with deep gratitude that I give thanks for our time together this morning. I give thanks for this beautiful spiritual community that is truly non-local, and for our Facebook Live friends that are joining us, and knowing that life is good and very good. And as I love myself, I can love myself so much that I can start loving you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. And so we get on this love train and we take this message of unconditional love, of compassion and non-judgment and forgiveness, remembering that each act of forgiveness invites us to live as before, in that place of joy and bliss and happiness. I bless places where people are gathering throughout the entire planet, recognizing and remembering their oneness with spirit, their connection with the one divine intelligence. And I give thanks for each prayer request that is being held in the heart of each one that has joined us this morning. And I know that the Spirit of God, the Spirit of love, the Spirit of energy, this creative intelligence says yes to whatever the request is, knowing that each request reveals itself in a higher vibration that not only reveals the highest and best for the one who is making the request, it also reveals the highest and best for everyone that is around, because this vibration of love lifts us higher and higher and higher. And for this and for so much more than I have words for, I just wrap my heart around this and release it into the law, which always says yes. I give thanks and I allow it to be. And we affirm it by saying, and so it is, amen. And now it is our opportunity to practice the law of circulation. I want to thank you for the way that you so lovingly support the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. We invite your partnership, because your support allows us to continue our fundamental programs, which is the Sunday service, our educational programs, our virtual ministries, which are expanding, and our community outreach. Programs that, regardless of their ability to pay, we are able to provide a service to our community. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and your donations are tax deductible to the full extent allowed by the law. And do we have our affirmation, our prosperity affirmation screen? I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. I release this visible supply as an outer symbol of my inner supply into the physical world. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And we have a variety of ways for you to participate in the law of circulation. You can mail a check to our center, and the address is on your screen, 400 West Franklin Street, Monterey, California, 93940. You can also go to our secure website, montereycsl.org, and click on the donate button. Also, there is a donate button in our weekly newsletter. So if you have not yet subscribed to the newsletter, please do so. And you can also text to give. And you can send your text to give 831-246-9694. And there's an opportunity for you to click on the link to set up a recurring donation through your debit or bank card. And now I say good morning to our Facebook Live community and invite you to join us next week.